Hello world, Augustine Cortez coming to you live from Web3. Today was a blizzard of information. It was essentially a gold mine of true good knowledge, and I'm very excited to just give the overview of the areas I picked up. So definitely, to start off the bat, it was mainly around Solidity development. I came across really good resources today. I got a Solidity cheat sheet that gave a really good overview of the syntax and how functions, variables, the scope, struts, and other components to Solidity come together. And more importantly, I went into the deep depths of Solidity programming. I went essentially to the behind the scenes of Open Zeppelin. I learned about upgrading smart contracts. I learned about um, the step-by-step process that more experienced developers work with, like how to use proxies, um, get some other areas, testing environments, how to set your local testing um, environment, and then transition to the test nets, and then push it to the main net. So there was just so much going on today. I really think that this might have been one of the most in-depth days in terms of Solidity development. I really want to get as much exposure into this, so it's fascinating to see. And it goes in parallel with the other half of the day where I focus on Learnio's roadmap. So this is really exciting because as I'm getting really comfortable with the technology of blockchain and starting to see the capabilities of it, as a builder, you can create zero principle systems and processes. And these are the things that don't exist yet. And with knowledge, you can essentially foresee and say, oh, this doesn't exist yet. This is how it would be created, and you can yield an outcome. And the best thing is sometimes those potential outcomes derive from the fact of what you know. So your knowledge yields better judgment. And a big area that I was focusing on today was creating um, a consensus mechanism on verification of one being knowledgeable, verification of education. And quite interesting, I wrote a thread today about how I've been an autodidact for the past 6 years, and there's no data to verify all the actions and skills that I've developed. With Web3, with everything on the blockchain, there could be protocols and systems to um, validate that, right? I can have this proof of work. And I did this long thread on that, and I saw a really good article talking about the same narrative. They call it proof of skill. And I was like, that's beautiful. That's exactly what it's about. So it's super exciting to see other builders, specifically in education, start building, right? So many possibilities. And the common ground with that article, it was like if they were inside my head and took a lot of good stuff out there. So I also learned about game theory, something called the Schelling point and Nash equilibrium. That was really fascinating because it with blockchain economics is one of the main um, domains that makes it up, and in the consensus aspect is you have to get Nash equilibrium for a consensus mechanism to work, right? An example of that of Nash equilibrium would be like a stoplight, where if one person goes and one person doesn't go, then it works. So it's the premise of Nash equilibrium is that one's incentive will not be uh, counterintuitive or not in favor of another's incentive. So let's say that for stoplights, the law didn't exist and there were no police officers in that area. So you can pass the spotlight or the stoplight, no worries. You can run through it without the dealing with the law. However, the Nash equilibrium would be that people would still follow it because if no people do the stop, then at the intersection there would be a crash. And if both people stop at the stoplight, which would be on the opposite side, right? It would be no one's moving. The car is not reaching its goal. So the incentive is for one person to go and then one person to stop. So it operates more like a stop. But the Nash equilibrium is that with this process and this protocol, both parties win at the end of the day without impairing one's other incentives. So went into deeper about game three. I got the high overview. I didn't dive into too much depth, but I thought that was fascinating and how it bridges over into consensus mechanism. And then I learned about some calculus algorithm. I think it was called the shelling coin process. There's a protocol called yup.io where they are building essentially Pinterest for the Web3, and they have an algorithm that gives the contributor more influence and power. And I was looking at the protocol. I'm like, wow, this is really, really interesting stuff. So with that algorithm, it, if you have a strong one, you will reach that Nash equilibrium. So that's kind of what like Bitcoin does, right? With Bitcoin being decentralized, there's no laws, there's no central authority, but people have aligned incentives, and the algorithm is the process, is the rules towards it, and then leading to the technical build outs of, well, Bitcoin isn't programmed in Solidity, but you need the technology to be built in order to make the algorithms and systems work. So it's a full tie of the main domains for blockchain technology, and it's quite a ride. Things just happen so fast. Like for example, today Coinbase launched or announced that they're launching their NFT marketplace. Stripe announced that they're hiring for uh, Solidity developers. I believe that's what they're specifically looking for, but they're going into Web3. They're building into Web3. So the world is definitely moving into this area. It's quite exciting to see every day new things happening. Update on the mutant cats. The floor reached 2 ETH. This is one of the best ROIs in NFT, so that's fascinating. I staked my cat. I also learned about the staking process using another ERC20 token and reaping the yields off that. So, yeah, there's so many things going on at once, but the main focus today was heavily on Solidity development. I came across great resources. I dropped those on the Discord. So if you are learning and want to get more insight, feel free to jump into the Discord, and I'll be pinging resources left and right. And big, also exciting correlation with Learnio's roadmap is launching NFT smart contracts. So NFT smart contracts, I would say, are more basic, and with the open source community, things are, fairly easy to work with. It's more like Lego pieces. So with that, it's okay. Like we're really close. Now we're building the assets and the layers for the artwork, and we're confident in the development process. So it's in parallel to the build out. But I just don't want to learn NFT smart contracts. I want to learn the entire ecosystem. So yeah, I'm gonna keep it short with this aspect. I'm not gonna riff off. Just want to give a true brief update of documentation. And yeah, we'll keep it here, keep it nice and short. With that being said, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow.